solution is not to move Africans to Europe, but to free Africa from certain Europeans.
Today we're speaking about Ibrahim Traore, all the good things he has done.
He is actually a leader that's provided true inspiration, not just for his people of Burkina Faso, but for everyone around the world.
Are in the belly of what is happening around the world. We get up, we go to work, we go home, we get online. We pretend like we don't know, but we do know. We feel the crushing imperialist boot on our necks, and can we get it off? Yes, we can!
Yes, we can!
Fuck yeah!
Fuck yeah!
We can!
Yes, we can!
Don't let them stop you.
Ibrahim Traore is the captain, president, Ibrahim Traore of the traditional president of Burkina Faso.
I think he's a remarkable leader for the whole world. Whenever I see him, I'm really compelled by him.
Taking hands off.
There is a very powerful video I've come across. Normally we see white systems defending their control in Africa. Yeah, I even came across a video of a white professor or white politicians saying that they need to colonize again Africa.
Then it's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is at stake.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You can say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens because the governments there are all about looting and pillaging and lining their pockets and going shopping in Paris instead of actually making their country better.
People on the left are going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Eric Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely.
You know, but when white people themselves start calling out the exploitation and saying, leave Africa alone or leave this leader alone, that it's a signal of something, the real shift in the global consciousness. It's happening, okay? When you see white people themselves starting calling their white system, it tells you something. Number one, there is white cracks in the system because not all white people are standing with the colonial structure right now. Right, not all white people are standing with the colonial structure. Some are now exposing them. Okay, so that shows the system is losing control over its own narrative. Number two, legitimacy of some African leaders like Ibrahim Traore. Okay, even the outsiders are recognizing the movement of Ibrahim Traore. It is genuine. Okay, it validates that Africa's call for sovereignty is being heard worldwide. Number three, when you see even white people are calling out the system, it's global awakening. This proves something. The fight for African liberation isn't just a black versus white struggle. It is humanity versus oppression. Another thing is the fear of the West. The system panics when its own citizen speaks against it because that destroys propaganda. So I came across this video of white people with carrying placards saying free Africa, and they had picture of Ibrahim Traore. Watch this video and then we come back. I have a lot to say.
Africa doesn't need help. Africa needs to wake the hell up. Africa doesn't need aid. Africa needs a revolution. And the first step is waking up. This continent isn't poor. It's been kept poor deliberately. And not by some invincible hand, but by a system of elites still serve colonial interests, ladies and gentlemen. They wear suits, they sit in palaces, and watch while the masses scrape by. And all that while the West profits off Africa's misery. Africa's problem isn't the lack of resources. It's the lack of willpower and the lack of unity. Mental colonialization is the real epidemic. The chains are not just physical, they are in the mind too. Europe doesn't need to colonize Africa anymore. Africa colonizes itself. Kwame Nkrumah said it, we cannot consider ourselves free until we've freed our minds. Political independence without mental decolonization is a mirage. Leaders speak of freedom, yet they keep their people shackled to foreign currencies, foreign religions, and foreign languages. And until Africans demand unity, self-respect, they are not free. If Africa keeps bowing to the West, it will never be free.
That Europe is better than Africa is something that was put in your head by Europeans. But Africa has everything. Africa is super rich culturally, language-wise, food, resources. Everything is in Africa. Africans only need to take back control of their continent. I also met a girl from the Netherlands. She was also traveling. We met in Mauritania, and then we met in Senegal and in Gambia. So we came across each other several times, and we had these discussions several times. People were hosting us, and we would love to say, I'm going to host you when you come to Italy, when you come to Belgium. But people cannot come here because they don't get visas. And it's just bullshit. It's mind-blowing, this thing that people cannot just travel freely, because a lot of people I met, my age, they don't want to come to Europe to stay here. They just want to travel as I do. But Europe is taking resources from Africa. They've been doing this for forever.
You cannot discover a place that already has people living there. To the guy who said Africa was discovered by Europeans, let me teach you something. You don't discover a place where millions of people already lived, traded, built kingdoms, and developed complex systems long before Europeans touched African soil. When Vasco da Gama arrived in 1497, he didn't find wilderness. He found cities. He found the Swahili coast, Kilwa, Mombasa, Mapungubwe, civilizations trading with India and China centuries earlier. Only thing Europe discovered was its own greed. You didn't discover Africa. You invaded it. You renamed it. You redrew the borders. You enslaved and colonized. That doesn't sound like discovery. It sounds like theft. Why do we still believe this lie? Because history is taught from the perspective of the thief, not the victim. And that is why your textbooks...
Hands off of Ibrahim Traore. And we're representing the Center for Political Innovation because we want economic development. We don't want degrowth.
People are liking it, huh?
Yeah, a lot of people are receptive or at least curious.
And I think if we take an example like this, and stand up for countries like this and learn from it, we too have a better prosperity, not just for ourselves now, but for generations to come.
So unique and so different from the various other leaders of the world. He's amazing to me.
Down with NATO!
Down with NATO!
Hands off Africa!
Hands off Africa!
Down with NATO!
Down with NATO!
Hands off Africa!
Hands off Africa! We are an energized group fighting for working families. We are an energized group fighting for the world. We want this message to get out to everyone, far and wide, to get off your butts, to make it happen. We are one because we are in this fight together.
We've got Africa's Flame, Ibrahim Traore, the current president of Burkina Faso, who's doing beautiful, amazing things, building up the country for his people.
They kicked out the French. They formed an alliance with Mali and Niger. Security defense, economic defense. Traore is leading an agricultural revolution. They are training soldiers to be farmers. They're training farmers to be soldiers. And he's a Muslim. And it is now a crime in Burkina Faso to stir up religious division that undermines the unity of the country.
So we're supporting a real role model here.
Let me tell you a little bit about this man, Ibrahim Traore. This man is not only a leader for Burkina Faso who cares about the people of Africa and the people of the world, who's standing with Russia, who's standing with the people of the world against U.S. imperialism. And it's because that he's doing that they've made so many attempts on his life.
I would be willing to put my life on the line for him, to protect him, because he's, he represents hope. He represents true hope and progress in this world, and I pray to God that nothing happens to him.
And my question is this: where does value come from? Where does value come from? They want you to think value comes down from the sky. They want you to think value comes from Wall Street derivative ripoff schemes. They want you to think value comes from Facebook likes and shares and hits. They want you to think value is magical. But the answer to where value comes from is within you. It is within you. It is your human labor power and your creativity. That is the source of all wealth in this world.
Yes.
And if we want to have a strong economy, we need to invest in human beings, invest in people, invest in children so they grow up and get an education and become strong and powerful and effective and smart. We need to invest in communities. We need to invest in families. That is the future.
Freedom. I think of economic growth. I think of someone who truly cares about the needs of the people and not
the top 1% or the top 0.01% or whatever it is, which is the rest of the world seems to be focused on in the West anyway. We need economic development for everyone, not just for the people at the top. And that's the kind of system we're living under, why people are struggling so much.
We are here to proclaim that we will not be stopped. We will not let the imperialists threaten us. We will not let them intimidate us. We are CPI and we are here to fight for Africa.
Yeah. Like you guys in the US, ourselves in Australia, we're being held back by big finance, and we need to have a government of action that fights working families and ordinary working people.
Investing millions and millions of francs to revamp stadiums and hold games for youth sports, so they can be healthy and strong, and they can build an identity of their own in working together. Abraham Traore was a soccer player himself, and he just held a very friendly game with other professional soccer players, and he won 3 matches. How about that? Go Traore!
Go Traore!
Let all nations have self-determination and develop peaceful relationships, peaceful trade with each other, and innovate and share that innovation with each other so that we can live in peace, prosperity, and harmony, because there is plenty to go around.
This is the model of what can be here. You must fight. You must get up. You must be brave. Don't let them tell you that your words have no meaning, that they'll throw you in jail if you speak up. The more of us that speak up, what happens? Then more speak up, and more speak up. Don't let that frighten you. Get off your butts, do something about it. Fight for a future that you want.
We need a world where people refuse to take advantage of the downtrodden.
We need to take an alternative road, because the road we're going is leading us to nowhere but to oblivion.
And this leader in Africa is a leader who understands that. And that is why he is investing in his people. He is providing free health care to mothers in the hospital. He is providing university education to his people. Not only is college free, but while you're there, you get a stipend, a paycheck, so you can focus on your studies. You don't have to work. Imagine that. The young people of Burkina Faso, in a way, are richer than all the young people in America. You go to college in America, you're going to be in student debt for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years. In Burkina Faso, not only do you not go into student debt, but on top of that, you get a paycheck while you're there so you can pay your bills and focus on your studies. He is enabling millions and millions of people to rise up from poverty, to launch their own farms, to pave their roads. Fisheries are opening up. Pineapple orchards are opening up. This is a pro-growth president who invests in human beings and invests in his people.
There's nothing more important right now happening in the world than what's happening right here, in the belly of the beast, in the belly of imperialism. Can we make this happen? Yes. Yes, it can happen.
What we need is a win-win situation where we can find an economic system or deals or contracts whereby what makes America prosper also makes our trading prosper.
Better world is possible, but understand, if we don't believe that, if we listen to those who tell us that nothing is possible, then that's what we will get. We will get nothing.
Hands off Africa.
Grand Rising Kings and Queens, welcome back for joining here. Now, for those who are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please subscribe. And for those who are returning subscribers, I'm so happy for you being here. You are the reason why I'm here and creating videos after videos. You told me you need good topics, and I'm trying hard to bring good topics with a lot of research. I don't sleep. For those who are sending super thanks, I salute you, and you can even join the membership to be the member of this channel to support the movement. Now, something powerful is happening right before our own eyes. Something powerful, something that the system is terrible. Never thought it would happen, because for a lot of time, white system helps control of the narratives, okay, about Africa, about black people. They painted Africa as poor. They painted Africa as weak. They painted Africa as, indeed people who need savings, because they told lies, okay, to justify colonization. They told lies to justify slavery and neo-colonial exploitation. But now the mask is fallen. Why? Because what is shocking in the world? I was shocked to see this video. A video of white people themselves, okay, carrying placards saying "Free Africa, leave Traore alone." And this is not just statement. It is history in motion, because for the first time, the system is being challenged not only by Africans or by black people, but by its own children. The propaganda is crumbling and the lies are collapsing. On the video, you could see them carrying a picture of Ibrahim Traore. I know it's not first time for you to hear Ibrahim Traore, but I will repeat again, okay? I will repeat again. Why white people are now telling their own system to free Africa, we need to understand why they are carrying Ibrahim Traore or Captain Traore picture. Because Traore is the center of this storm, okay? Traore is not just another African leader. He's not a puppet. He's not just a man who bows down to Western powers or Western orders. He is a soldier who came from the people, a leader who stood up at only 34 years old, to be precise, and said enough is enough. That is Traore. In Burkina Faso, his people were tired. And right now they are saying no election in Burkina Faso because we need Traore to be here. Okay? So, guess what? Truth spread like wildfire. Across Africa, young people saw him as a reflection of themselves. Across the diaspora, black people in America, in the Caribbean, in Europe, felt the energy of this young leader. Okay? Traore represents the African dream of freedom, African dream of dignity, and the African dream of determination. That is Traore. Okay? Now, Western powers have always relied on two things to control Africa. Fear and manipulation. Okay, I'm sorry for that. Western powers have relied on fear and manipulation. They create puppet leaders who beg for aid while handing over resources. Okay, they install governments that silence the people while opening doors for foreign investors. But Traore flipped the script and he told France to take its military bases and go. Leave Burkina Faso alone. He spoke openly, not behind doors, openly, okay, about African uniting against exploitation. He said that. So, on the process, he inspired Mali, inspired Niger, and others to stand against this exploitation, okay? Now imagine being the West right now. You spend centuries building a giant system of control, and suddenly, a 34 years old African soldier look you in the eyes and said, or look you in the eyes and say, enough is enough, your time is up. That's why some of them are painting Ibrahim Traore as dangerous, and that's why they try to isolate him. That's why they push propaganda calling him a dictator, and that's why we said fear and manipulation. They are manipulating Ibrahim Traore. But the twist here is, even white people themselves are telling the system, leave the man alone. Let the man work. We are seeing what he's doing. We are seeing what France did not do in the years they have been there. The people of Burkina Faso are saying, leave our leader alone. So, the big question is, why are white people themselves now speaking out? Why are the white people themselves telling the West to free Africa and leave Traore alone? That's the question we need to ask or to answer. Because it is not normal. Sometimes I say, be vigilant. Be vigilant, because it's not their usual to do that. But why? See, for a very long time, the white system controlled not just Africa, but also the middle of its own people, okay? It brainwashed them into believing that colonization was about civilization or civilizing. It sold them lies that Africa was poor, backward, and needed saving. It convinced them that Western powers were the good guys bringing democracy and progress. But the truth is that lies does not last forever. The system is being exposed, and even white people are beginning to wake up. Social media has destroyed the old monopoly of information. Africans are telling their own stories. Africans are showing their own wealth. Africans are showing their own beauty. Right now, Africans are showing their strength. Videos from Burkina Faso, it's surfacing. Video from Mali, Niger, and Africa, it is coming in front and circulating unfiltered. And white audiences can no longer deny what they see, because they are seeing reality of Africa. So they see young Africa rallying behind Ibrahim Traore. They see foreign soldiers being kicked out of African soil. They see a continent refusing to be a puppet anymore, and they are realizing something powerful. The system they thought was protecting them, the system they thought that it's protecting the world, is actually eating even its own people. Okay? And some white people are tired of being lied. It's human nature. Sometimes you are tired of being lied because the children of the colonizers or the grandchildren of colonizers are no longer like them. The white Gen Zs we are seeing, they are different because they are getting first-hand information and they are seeing, okay. Black culture is great, so we need to, this is the real culture. And they are feeling the rhythm in the black culture, feeling the rhythm in the black people, they are feeling the rhythm in the Africa something, and they are like, okay, you are lied to. They are asking questions, okay? But let me be clear something here. When white people stand against their own system, it's not just about morality, it's also about fear. Let me define this, why I'm saying fear. Because right now, they are seeing what is coming. They are seeing their empire falling. They see economies crumbling and they see Africa rising. So they know the system cannot win this battle forever. They know that automatically. So instead of being dragged down with the sinking ship, some of them are jumping off and shouting, "Free Africa, leave Traore, free Africa, oh, let Africa be." You feel me? They don't want to be dragged down with the system. And that's where I always say, let's not miss a point. When the oppressor own people start calling out the oppression, that's a sign of the empire decline or decline of the empire. And that's why you see the video of white people defending Africa. It is so significant. Nobody needs to tell you otherwise. It's not just a moment. It is prophecy unfolding. Okay? And when this is happening, the system must react. The system must react because the system is built on silence, obedience, just come, obey, be silent, and illusion. So it survives when its own people don't ask questions. It survives when its own people follow rules, follow orders, when they repeat propaganda without thinking. But the moment cracks appears, the system panic. Okay? It doesn't know how to handle dissent coming from within. So we have seen this before. When white activists protested the Vietnam War, the system labeled them as radicals. When white allies marched with Dr. Luther during civil rights era, they were called traitors. Okay? When whistleblowers exposed CIA or military secrets, they were hunted, silenced, or forced into exile. I saw a video of two veteran police officers or veteran US officers or soldiers. They protested with the Palestine issue and they, taken to court. So the same pattern is playing out even today. That's why I've given an example of that video. If you haven't come across it, it's online. White people who speak out of Africa are immediately branded as naive, misinformed, or anti-West. But the system tries to shame them back into silence. Why? Because nothing is more dangerous to an empire than its own children rejecting it. It is very dangerous. Okay? So if only Africans say free Africa, the system can dismiss it as rebellions. But when white people say free Africa, suddenly the narrative crumbles. Suddenly the Western public starts asking, wait a minute, what is really happening here? Why are even our own people siding with Africa? So it is dangerous. It is dangerous, and it shows the weakness within the system. And you can see how desperate they are right now. Look at the media. The headlines try to paint Ibrahim Traore as a dictator. They try to portray Africa unity as instability. But family, guess what? When their own people no longer believe those lies, the empire shakes. The truth is, the white system has always relied on illusion to maintain power. So once illusion breaks, oppression has an expiration date. And that's exactly what's happening right now. The voices rising from within are telling the system, your time is over, so stop lying, free Africa, and leave Traore alone. Now, here we have a symbolization of white voices defending Africa. And let's break that down for a little bit. For centuries, Africa has been silenced. Our voices have been dismissed. I've listened to a lot of people talking about what happened. Like when you listen to speeches like for Professor Pielo Lumumba, you could hear this iron lady called Chimbo. Okay, I missed that name. But I say this, I'm sorry. They have been dismissing our truths, erasing, okay? They have been labeling our resistance as chaos. So when Africans spoke against colonization, they were branded rebels. When Africans demanded independence, we were called ungrateful. When Africans leaders, and just lately, France, President Macron called Ibrahim Traore ungrateful people, called Burkina Faso ungrateful people. Okay? So the white system has made sure that even our cries for freedom were distorted. They told the world Africans cannot govern themselves. They are still saying that. They told the world Africans need guidance, that Africans need saving, and for too long the world believed this. But now, let's picture this. White people, the very group that the system has always used as its audience, its loyal believer, its unquestioning supporters, are the ones saying, no, 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 that's enough and you need to leave Africa. So, do you see this power, the power in this? Do you see that? It flips the entire script. It's like the empire losing its most important weapon. And this weapon, it's legitimacy, okay? Oppression doesn't just survive on guns or money. It survives on legitimacy. If people believe it's right, they tolerate it. But if people sees it as wrong, it collapses. So when white voices defend Africa, it signals a new stage of consciousness. It shows that truth has pierced through the lies. It shows that the system can no longer control its own narrative. It shows that Africans are not alone in the fight of liberation. And this is spiritual, my brethren, because let me tell you, lies has an end. Truth, even if it's buried for centuries and centuries, will eventually come on the top. Now it is raining. The ancestors have made the soul being weak. So the bones are coming up and we are realizing that someone was buried here, someone was buried here. The truth is up and nobody is escaping the truth. Okay? So when white people say free Africa, they are not giving us permission. No, Africa doesn't need permission to be free. What they are doing is exposing their own system. They are confirming that Africans have always said that the system is corrupt, unjust, and destructive. So, the symbolism in this is that our fight has reached a stage where even the beneficiaries of oppression are now testifying against it. And that's how you know victory is near. So, it is evident to say that the world is turning against the white system because for a long time the white system presented itself as the savior of humanity. It claimed to bring democracy, but right now we have technology and information is out and people know this is a lie because the world turning against it now is because the lies are no longer working. So everyone can see the contradiction. So the West says it believes in democracy, yet it supports dictator in Africa who serve its interests. The history, now we know the history of most of the West countries is relying on genocide and unliving of people and displacing people. So this is why right now we see leaders from Latin America are siding with Africa. This is why Asian nations are refusing to bow to Western pressure. This is why white people themselves are beginning to say enough is enough. And finally, the case of Traore has become a symbol of this global turning point because when the West tries to demonize him, people around the world clearly saw what is happening. Okay? They saw what is happening. And that was a pattern. The same thing that happened with Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, Muammar Gaddafi. But this time the world is not easily to be fooled. So the truth is spreading too fast right now. You get me? And let me say this. Let me say this last thing. History is very good to know history. Okay? It's very good to go back and learn the history because one truth stands tall about everything. Africa liberation is unstoppable and we have gone through history. You see what has been happening. Way back alone, white system tried to chain Africa through slavery, colonization, puppet government, debt traps and endless propaganda. But today, the mask has fallen. So the world sees it clearly. Even white voices themselves, the voices from within their own system are saying enough is enough. So I want you to feel this deeply. Traore is not just fighting for Mali, fighting for Burkina Faso. Traore is fighting for Congo, is fighting for Ghana, for Nigeria, for Kenya, and for every black people, even in diaspora and Caribbean. Okay? And Africa was never meant to be exploited. Africa was always meant to rise and lead the world in freedom and dignity, in unity. So I want you to know this. And the most powerful part is the movement cannot be stopped because it's no longer about one man. It's about all of us. Okay? It's about all of us. Millions and millions of African youths who refuse to be lied to anymore. It's about us. It's about Black Americans who are reconnecting with the roots. It's about Caribbeans, brothers and sisters who are demanding the reparation. It's about each and every Black person. So we are seeing that Black people have been right always. So white people now are starting to realize that, and they are showing it openly, and this shows the crack within. So tell me what you think on the comment section about this video, because it has shown me like nothing is impossible. Truth always stand out. Okay, thank you so much for watching up to here. Grand rising kings and queens, make sure you like, subscribe and share. For those who are sending super thanks, I appreciate. Until next episode, peace out.